The Power Play Post Show is on the air, covering minor league hockey since 2003, and now covering the Binghamton Black Bears with news, reactions, and in-depth interviews only heard here. And now, from the Box Studios in Kirkwood, New York, here are your hosts of the Power Play Post Show, Bob Howard and Taylor Welch.
And hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Power Play Post Show. This is the show for June 11th, 2026. This is season 15, episode number 76, the most episodes I've ever done in one season of the Power Play Post Show. And this is episode number 590 in the long-running podcast that is the Power Play Post Show. Hello, everyone. I am Bob Howard. She is
Taylor Welch.
And welcome back, everybody. We're coming to you a little bit later in the week than we normally would, being that it's Thursday evening as Taylor and I are talking right now. But that's because the expansion draft happened, some big news dropped about the Binghamton Black Bears, and then, of course, the dispersal draft happened earlier today, and there's a lot of stuff to talk about. So, Taylor, I want to get right into it. I think we need to, talk about the elephant in the room. Tyson Kirkby, something that we kind of alluded to in the Sunday show that I've kind of tried to get people to be ready for, made it known to the Binghamton Black Bears management team, including Brant Sherwood and, of course, Andreas Johansson, that he wanted to go somewhere else for a different challenge for himself. In some cases, going to a new team so he could help see how to build it from the bottom up. And Brant Sherwood, who I talked to last Saturday, had to think about this for a while, how he was going to handle this, because he wanted to give Tyson what he wanted, which was essentially to go to Mid-South and the Monarchs. And so he thought about it for a while and thought, well, he could protect him and then try to do a trade, but then he'd be trading within the organization, so to speak. I'm just going to call it the organization now, Baton Rouge, Binghamton, and Mid-South. Trade within the organization between him and Mac Jansen. What could Mac Jansen really give to Brant Sherwood? Probably not that much. And so he decided to unprotect him and not have him on the protected list. There are other people not on the protected list that you might be surprised in, but we cannot release that information. The Black Bears have asked us not to release that information, even though Taylor and I both know who was on the protected list and who was not. But that's the decision that Brant made that he felt was going to be in the best interest for Tyson. Now, Minnesota could have just screwed everybody up because they were picking first. They could have picked Tyson. I don't think Tyson was going to go play in Minnesota, but maybe so. It is a team that he could have helped build as well. But I think the agreement and the interest of everybody not worrying about things, it was agreed upon that he would go to Mid-South, and Mac Jansen obviously picked him number 2 overall in the expansion draft. And I do think that it's a good situation for Tyson. I realize there's a lot of fans in Binghamton that probably are a little upset about it. They're going to miss him. They wish him well, those type of things. But this was in the best interest for Tyson. He wanted to move on. Taylor, your thoughts on Tyson leaving and how they went about doing it?
It's going to sound weird. I want to say that him leaving is a great thing. And I mean that in the sense of he knew he wanted to do something different. He wanted to go play for a different team. He made that decision himself. He expressed that with Brant. They had a conversation and they talked about things and got him set up where he wanted to play, which was obviously down with Mac Jansen. So I honestly think that whole process was great. A lot of communication that, these guys have so much trust and faith in Brant that they're willing to express these things, and Brant's willing to get them set up in the position that they want to be in. So that whole process, I think, went obviously really smoothly. Tyson's going to go where he wants to go. And
right.
I think the fans are going to be upset about losing him, but I also think that they are happy to know that he's going to be with Jansen and Cam Cervone and Emerson Emery. There's a lot of Black Bears that are going to Mac Jansen, and I feel like the fans are kind of happy with that knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
As far as the way that they handled it and the way that they took care of it, I thought they executed that brilliantly. because they announced earlier before the draft had happened that Tyson was going to be leaving. So it kind of gave fans the notice beforehand, and it wasn't such a shell shock of when Tyson's name was said second that everyone was like, well, why is this happening type of thing. Like they gave the fans enough of a notice to be like, this is what's going to happen today, just so you're kind of prepared. And I think that really helped kind of settle the fans and, really kind of just, it helps the relationship between the fans and the Black Bears kind of stay together. And because I kind of brought this up when the draft had happened about, we saw Jamie Bucell from Port Huron was obviously not on their protected list, and he was picked up in the draft. And I knew immediately that wasn't going to last very long, but Port Huron had made their post about thank you, Jamie Bucell. And then today they scratched out the thank you and said, welcome back. That was a move that I saw coming a mile away, and their fans were very up in arms about them letting Bucell go. They were very unhappy about it. So that just kind of shows you the differences in like how you can handle things. And I'm not saying what Port Huron did was wrong or anything like that. They handled it how they wanted to. I think they did it to kind of get the fans involved and see, the excitement or how angry they could be or whatever the situation might have been. But they obviously, two franchises handling things very differently. But I think overall, everybody's happy for Tyson. And I truly think, he's been here for 5 years. He's been the captain. He's done 3 cups. He's done a lot for this team. So for him to want to challenge himself and, get away from this area, which again, he spent all summer here, taking the cup to the sponsors and, getting pictures with fans and doing all that kind of stuff. Like Tyson really was the front runner for the Black Bears and just out there doing everything he possibly could. So for him to have a new challenge, I think is awesome. Yeah,
this was obviously, he was the face of the Binghamton Black Bears for the past 3 years, without a doubt. Now, I want to read his statement that he, because I liked what they did. I was a little surprised. I kind of wished I would have gotten a little fair warning on that because I was a little off-footed. I thought they were going to wait until, because I had a whole article written up. And which I still released. I had to edit my article a little bit because, of course, they announced Tyson leaving or not being protected about 6 hours before the draft actually happened. And I had written a whole article, the graphic that was done, all that. I had that all ready. And then all of a sudden, boom, I got a 2-minute notice from Brooks that this was happening. And I was like, oh, crap, now I got to rewrite my article. And then I was like, you know what? I'm still going to just release the article when the pick happened with Mid-South because I was pretty confident that's what was going to happen. He was going to go to Mid-South. That was all the information I had. So I'd already written up my article and I was ready to go. And then they kind of changed that, which I think was a good thing because, again, like you said, it gave the fans time to see that and go, okay, here we go, right? Here's the first person that we've relied on with this organization for 5 years, and he's leaving, and which is absolutely okay. But I want to read what he said. Binghamton has become my home away from home these past 5 seasons. In my first game playing here in 2022, I knew there was something special about this city. From winning championships the last 3 years to getting married to my amazing wife, Morgan, this chapter of my story has been truly incredible. Each championship told a different story, but I am proud that it ended up with the same result. I would like to thank the fans for the support they have given me and my family on and off the ice. Binghamton is truly a special place to play, and it will never take will never take my time here for granted. I'm excited to take on the new challenge and join a team. I believe this decision was in the best interest for my future and give me the opportunity to learn more in the hopes of learning about managing an organization from the ground up. Taylor, again, I think overall having a statement from Tyson to kind of ease the blow. You don't want to go into the expansion draft, have Tyson get picked up second overall and completely, do this behind, I don't want to say behind the backs of the fans, but to shock them in any way. This was the easiest way and the best way to handle it because, again, the teams in the FPHL the last 2 seasons, for some reason, have felt the need to not announce the protected list. And this was kind of going against that a little bit, basically saying, hey, he's not going to be protected, but here you go. Here's this information ahead of time. I think it was the best thing that they could have done.
Yeah, I do think that it was the best way it could have been handled in an appropriate way to be handled, without giving, too much information from each side before the draft had actually happened. It gave the fans an engagement of, well, everybody was commenting, well, where do you think he's going to go? I think he's going to go here. He could go here. Maybe he's going to be the coach. Maybe he's going to do this. Maybe he's going to do that type of thing.
Right.
And, a lot of the fans kind of assumed that he was going to go to the Monarchs, and, they would be obviously right. But so I just think it kind of gave the fans the opportunity to understand what was happening and kind of to get that, not behind closed doors type of feeling. And it also, Brant not, protecting him and having to possibly do a trade, which, it would be like the Don situation where what trade could you possibly make where it would make sense for both sides? It just wouldn't happen. So I definitely think that this was probably the best way to handle something like this, especially with somebody of Tyson's caliber who does mean so much to the Binghamton Black Bears history alone.
Without a doubt. And, but that leads me to my question that I kind of posed before we got into our must-reads, which is, are Binghamton fans too spoiled over the last 3 seasons? And I wrote that about 6 hours ago when I was putting together our outline for the show. And so I had some time to think about it. I know I only sent it to you about, 3 hours ago, so maybe you didn't have as much time to think about the answer to this question, even though it's something that you and I have talked about a little bit off air. And I have to say that I think that when you win 3 in a row, you win as many games in the regular season as we have over the last 3 seasons, 39 one year, 49 the next year, and then 48 the year after that out of 56 games, you kind of do get a little spoiled, and it's tough. But the reaction that I think that we've seen from the Black Bears fans, other than yours about Connor Smith, but we'll talk about that in just a little bit, right? About Tyson has been very positive. Like I haven't seen a lot of the negativity. Like if we were truly a spoiled fan base, we would be just like, lashing out at Andreas. We'd be lashing out at Brant Sherwood. And I haven't really seen that. And that's with Tyson going. And Tyson had built a lot of connections with a lot of young fans. But, forget the older fans for a second. A lot of the younger fans, there was a lot of young kids that just kind of just gravitated to Tyson. And Tyson took out a lot of time to be with these kids and to hang out with them and sign autographs and talk to them and encourage them, things of that nature. And so it was great to see that there was because there is a lot of love between the fans and Tyson, and yet there was no backlash on Brant. There was no backlash on Andreas.
My take's a little bit different. I truly 100% think that, the fans here are spoiled, but I don't mean that in the negative sense. So I think there's kind of 2 versions of being spoiled.
Sure. You
have people who are spoiled and are grateful, and then you have people who are spoiled and, they're bratty kind. I think for the most part, our fan base is the spoiled, thankful kind. There are a couple bad eggs in every fan base, and that's just, it's going to happen, especially in hockey. Hockey's a very a stressful sport for fans. But I also think that you're not seeing the negativity because of how the situation was handled. I think if it wasn't handled appropriately or done in a well enough manner that, Tyson made the post that he did and, said the things that he had said, and the Black Bears had gone out of their way to make the post and the statement talking about Tyson, that it could have gone differently. I do think that we are spoiled in the sense of we have not seen that many roster changes in the past several years. There haven't been too many movements of players on our roster, except when we're over too many guys and we have to let somebody go. That's pretty much the extent of, what has to go on with our roster is we get too many good guys, and it's tough to see somebody go because everybody's so loved and everybody's so talented. So as far as that aspect, I do think that we are extremely spoiled. And I think this upcoming year, we could see a lot of changes. And I think that part might be a little bit difficult because we might see more roster changes and we might see more people coming and going. And I think after, 3 years of having a very solid team where there haven't been too much movement, aside from like a handful of guys here and there, I think that could be probably the biggest shock this upcoming year. But I do think that we are spoiled in, how the players treat the fans and how the fans treat the players and, the amount of fans that travel to the away games. And, there's more green in the away barns than there are of the other team's actual colors. And, they truly show up. And even for the guys that aren't even on our team anymore, who go to a different team, they're still so welcomed. Like when Chris Mott shows up in Binghamton and, you go out of your way to go talk to him and, everybody wants to get a picture with him. And, it's players like that where it doesn't matter where they end up, which is why it's probably going to be a very interesting and probably extremely stressful time if we end up facing the Monarchs, because they got a lot of Black Bears on that team. So,
they do.
Black Bears and former Black Bears. So he's really, racking it up down there. I joked the other day when the draft was going on saying that it was Binghamton's B team.
Yeah, well, he picked out of 8 players. He picked 4 Binghamton Black Bears or 4 former Binghamton Black Bears now, because after you picked Tyson, Cervone, and Emerson, Emery, you got Darian Benchik, who had a great season with the Watertown Wolves. But we'll get to that in just a few minutes. So let's talk about Connor Smith. Connor Smith came on our show 2 years ago, and we basically announced his retirement. So folks, if you are playing in the FPHL and you want to come on the show and announce your retirement and then come back, I'm okay with that. Any one of you, any one of the players wants to come on and go, I am retiring, because I know it's not going to happen. You're going to come back. Because right now, the 2 guys that have come on, announced their retirements here on the Power Play Post Show, will now officially have broken that promise. And it's okay. It's okay. Honestly, I personally don't think that Connor Smith should have retired anyways. I think he should have continued playing. I think he had a lot more game in him. And I did talk to him earlier today, and he said that the itch was definitely feeling very itchy. And so he had that itch when he picked up his ring. I think he stayed away from Andreas, which was a probably smart move as much as he could. But he's now got the itch. And why not play close to home? He might still be working for Ford Motor Company, which is one of his, which was his, kind of like the job that he really wanted. They really wanted him. So how he works that out, he doesn't know yet. But I did reach out to him and talk to him for a few minutes, and he had the itch. But what's funny is my co-host here did not take this news as well as maybe some other people did. Taylor, this is your time to shine and your time to kind of let it out a little bit. Your feelings on Connor Smith coming back.
Well, when I first saw his name, I was super excited. Watching Connor Smith that year, he really, he became one of my favorite players to watch. And he didn't really start shining until Stanko had left. And then it was all of a sudden this booming player came out of him, and he was the top guy everywhere. And he was honestly, in my opinion, probably one of the best guys in the league at the time. And I was very upset to know that I get it. These guys get jobs and you gotta do what you gotta do.
Yep.
And so I was very, very unhappy to see him leaving. And when I saw his name today, because what happened was I had seen your post and it said Cowboy, and I got super excited because there's only one person we call Cowboy.
That's right. That's right.
And then I scrolled and I saw purple, and I was like, at first the purple to me was the Monarchs, and I was like, oh no. And then I saw that it was the Motor City Rockers, and I was like, oh no. So yeah, I'm super bummed that he is in with Motor City. I'm very excited that he's playing again.
Yeah, me too.
I just would have much rather preferred him to be on the Black Bears roster because, again, if he is still playing like he did a couple of years ago, it's going to be a tough year for everybody. I truly think that the talent this year is going to be insane.
You mean within the league?
Yeah, I do mean especially with the Black Bears essentially branching out now.
Well, yeah. I mean, because there's players that Brant Sherwood has brought into this league that are now spread out throughout the whole league. And we already know what Brant Sherwood has been able to do in Binghamton. Think about what he's now sprinkled throughout the league. And that's very interesting to me. I'm happy for Connor if Connor's happy. And that's all that really matters to me. And I don't think he'll be his best self the first 30 days, 45 days. I think it'll take him a little bit of time. It's been a couple years since he's laced him up and played, unless he's played some men's hockey out there, which I don't know if he's done.
I was just going to say the same thing. It would depend. I'd have to know if he was still like doing some men's league or still practicing here and there because if he's been doing that kind of stuff, like I'm pretty sure like Connor McAnanama doesn't ever stop playing hockey.
No,
so
he doesn't.
In my mind, like he's always fired up, ready to go. So if that's like a Connor Smith, like if Connor Smith is doing the same thing, we could be in for a rude awakening.
Well, what I'm hoping,
which is why I'm bummed that he's not on our team.
Well, what I'm hoping is that we have a couple early series against the Motor City Rockers, so he doesn't kill us in the first half of whatever series we have against the Rockers. That's just my thought process. There is play Rockers early so Connor Smith doesn't destroy us on the ice, because when he does pick it up and he starts playing his game, as long as he's not injured. And at the end of the season with the Black Bears, he was injured. And going into the playoffs, he was injured. He talked about that on the show. It's one of the reasons why he felt it was the right time to retire. Now, you have to understand with hockey players who play 4 years of college hockey, and before that they might play some high-end junior hockey, and then they have AAA going all the way back. They play a very long time, and the 2 years that he's been off might have been what he needed for everything to heal in his body, which I'm sure everybody, even Tyson Kirkby, could probably use. If it didn't interrupt his career, he could probably use 2 years off, right, just to heal. And which I think is very important here. So I don't know. Your response was very interesting when I saw it today. Obviously, clearly, he was one of your first favorite players on this team.
Yeah, it definitely was. That's kind of when we first started getting into watching the Black Bears. And I just remember, Stanko was one of the top guys, and then he got called up and he went to Roanoke and pretty much never came back.
Right.
Which I guess, everyone was kind of expecting that. I always thought he was going to come back, but he never did. And, after that, really, like, Connor truly stepped up and he became Stanko, essentially. Mm-hmm. And I just really enjoyed it. And, one of the first players to get 4 goals in a game. So, it was definitely fun to watch. And I truly enjoyed watching him, which is why, and again, I should have scrolled before I got too excited, but I saw the word cowboy on your post and I was very pumped. And then, I scrolled a little bit more, and it makes total sense. It's where he's closer to home.
Yep.
And if he wants to play hockey, it makes total sense. But yeah, I truly am bummed that he is with a different team.
I want to thank Braden from the Motor City Rockers. They used 2 of my pictures in their article on the Motor City Rockers website. I really do appreciate that. That was awesome. I know that, the way Will used my pictures last year, we had a written and not a written, but we had a very verbal agreement that they could do that. They just had to, credit me. Braden did that up there in Motor City. Thank you very much. Kind of glad that those pictures were there. They're not my best pictures because that was 3 years ago, guys. I mean, you need to get the pictures from, more recent days because they're much better. But glad they were able to use them. All right. So, Taylor, let's get into the meat and the potatoes of everything. So let's go through our must-reads. The Power Play Post Show is available on all major podcast platforms, including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Cast, YouTube, Amazon Music, and iHeartRadio. Just search Power Play Post Show on your favorite app, and don't forget to subscribe. Join the conversation on Facebook. Search the Power Play Post Show and become of our community. Looking for everything Binghamton hockey? Visit binghamtonhockey.net. And coming up on this edition of the Power Play Post Show from the Hamilton Hammers. Yes, that's the name of a real team in the AHL up in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. AHL equipment manager Dylan Konecny. That's right. Our good friend Dylan and I recorded yesterday. He's already been on me here on Thursday. When's the podcast coming out? When's the podcast coming out? He's got people like in the AHL that are going to probably listen to this and hear him talking and hear the interview with me and him. And for anyone that is listening from the AHL, I used to talk to a bunch of AHL people. So, but it was great to talk to Dylan again. He is a pleasure. His family it's a pleasure to see them every time I get to see them at the arena.
One of my favorite memories with Dylan was the trip where we went out to, I don't remember if it was Motor City. It was a weekend trip. We were out to Michigan, and then we had to come back that Sunday and play in Elmira. And we had gone out to Michigan and then came back to Elmira, and we were sitting right behind the bench, and Dylan had come out, and he was downing Red Bull, one of the energy drinks. And we had asked him how the trip was, and he basically said that he was just running off of energy drinks and that he hadn't slept the entire time between washing all the gear, making sure it's dry, getting everything ready to go. And then he said that his hotel room smelled really bad. And it was definitely one of the funniest times of our road trips, going out and kind of, talking with the EQ guys. Definitely a lot of fun. You get to learn a lot of information.
Yeah.
Pretty sure that's also the game where he gave us a broken stick too.
I wrote an article about that series as well, and he sent me video and pictures from the hotel rooms that he's was referencing to you guys. So, which is pretty cool. So it's a small world. Great to have him on.
Power Play Post Show fans, do us a quick favor. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring that notification bell so you never miss an episode of the show. And if you're listening on Spotify, make sure you're following the podcast and leave us a rating. Completely free to do. It takes 2 seconds, and it tells YouTube and Spotify to push the show out to more Binghamton Black Bear fans and more hockey fans just like you.
Okay.
Drop a comment too. We read them, and we love hearing from you. You're trying to cut me off already.
I know. I didn't mean to there. So definitely please leave us a comment. That would be awesome. Anywhere. It's great. I do read them, and I try to respond back to them. Taylor, let's get into, first of all, the expansion draft that happened on Tuesday, right? It was Tuesday that happened on. Yeah, Tuesday. And let's get into this because obviously we've already talked about Tyson Kirkby, but the Black Bears did lose 3 other players their rights in the Fed.
The Binghamton Black Bears saw 4 members of their championship roster selected during the Federal Prospects Hockey League expansion draft on Tuesday, including 3 players chosen by the Mid-South Monarchs and 1 by the Fresno Falcons. Kind of already talked about Tyson, but we'll go through this anyways.
Yeah.
Leading the way was Black Bears captain Tyson Kirkby, who was selected 2nd overall by Mid-South Monarchs. Kirkby appeared in 34 games for Binghamton during the 24-25 season, recording 21 goals and 22 assists for 43 points. One of the most decorated players in franchise history, Kirkby leaves as a 3-time Commissioner Cups champion and one of the key leaders behind the Black Bears dynasty run.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's much more we can say about it. He was a big part of that, along with obviously Brant Sherwood and Andreas Johansson. From the beginning. Now, he only played like 17 or 18 games. I can't remember exactly what it was in the first season, but that's because he was just coming out of just out of college and joining the team, late in the first season. But he's only one of 2 guys that have played all 5 seasons. That's he and Gavin Yates. And I think this was obviously going to be shocking to people. Glad that they did it the way they did it. And I'll be honest with you, Taylor, the next 2 that you're going to read about, man, these ones hurt me a lot because I had a very special relationship with both of these guys.
So on that note, with the 7th overall pick, the Monarchs selected defenseman Cam Cervone. The steady blue liner played in 43 games for Binghamton this past season, contributing 2 goals and 9 assists while providing a reliable presence on the back end. Cervone departs Binghamton as a 2-time Commissioner Cup champion.
So Cam is just a sweet person, man. I'll be honest with you. I like him a lot. I think this is going to be great for Cam, though. The reason why I say that, now I don't know what the Binghamton team's going to look like in 3 months. So I might be talking out of my ass a little bit here, But the 3 years or the 2 years that he's been in Binghamton, he's played a lot with Dan Weber, which is absolutely fine. But I think Cam has the potential to become a number one or a number two defender in this league on any other team that isn't the Binghamton Black Bears. So I think this might be a good thing for Cam, because I do see his ability getting better and him getting stronger and him getting better at his position. But he needs to be able to play beyond the third line minutes, because if you're on the first line, you play more minutes than on the second line. The second line plays more minutes than on the third line. And I think Cam will probably be in the running to be one of the top two defenders in Mid-South. So I think this is a very good thing for Cam. But I'm going to miss him.
That was kind of my feeling about him and the next person that was selected, was that, they're very good players, and we had so much of that on the Black Bears. And as you said, we could have a completely different team this year, so who knows what could have happened. But
right.
I think it'll be great for both of these guys. I do think that people are sad to see them go, because I didn't have many interactions with Cam, but what I did see from him was just how well liked he was, and just how great he was with kids, and just he's overall just a super nice guy. And again, a lot of these guys are,
yes,
but he was just one of those guys that like anybody could talk to him, and he was just so nice about it.
Yep.
And so I think for that reason alone, I think it's more of people are upset about losing, the nice guy. These guys that are so awesome to talk to off the ice compared to like what they actually bring on the ice. And that's nothing against these guys and what they bring on the ice, but I do think that they have a better position to, maybe play more or play a different role going to the Monarchs.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of true for the next person. So Mid-South continued its Black Bears connection with the 12th overall selection, choosing forward Emerson Emery. Emery appeared in 49 games during the championship season, posting 4 goals and 9 assists. Known for his work ethic and versatility, Emery was a valuable depth contributor during Binghamton's back-to-back title champions, and leaves as a 2-time Commissioner Cup champion. And this one bothered me just for the fact of, I was able to get to know him because he was one of the people that I was able to interview.
Yeah.
But again, on that note, I truly think this could be a great thing for him, for the same reason that you had said that it would be great for, Cam Cervone.
100%. Another guy I loved. First of all, he's my New York Ranger brother, who we would definitely commiserate about the New York Rangers. I'm sad to see him go. But again, I think, instead of playing the 10 forward, he has a chance of being like a solid third liner, and maybe even being able to play on the second line, depending on how Mac Jansen builds this team. And I think he's going to be a guy that's just going to help Mac and Tyson really kind of like build towards a solid, good culture type of locker room. He's probably as good of a cheerleader as he is anything else. Like he is one of the best guys to be able to talk to if you're another player, and getting to know him, and he's going to encourage you, and he's going to do all the right things. And then he's going to go out there on the ice, and he's going to lead a certain way that I think Mac and Tyson really wanted. So this was a great move by them. Again, I'm losing 2 guys that I had great interviews with, great conversations with. They've both already guaranteed me, as long as Cole Parenti and Andreas Johansson and Mac are okay with it. We'd already talked well before this ever happened. Both guys were going to come back here on the Power Play Post Show this summer. So now we have something really cool to talk to them about, which is going and building their careers further down there. First of all, they're going to get better weather, I think, number one. Number 2, they're going to have better opportunities. So I'm happy for both of these guys, but sad at the same time.
I think that's kind of how everybody feels. I think everybody's sad to lose these 3 guys, but at the same time, it's also kind of heartwarming to know that all 3 of them are going to Mac Jansen, and all 3 of them seem very happy and excited to kind of go on this new path and kind of do new things. So I think for that reason, I think the fans are ecstatic for them. And, if you do have the ability to get them back on the show, I think, the fans would truly eat that up and want to know more. And now they have the opportunity. I mean, if they have nicer weather, they can probably go golfing more than they have the ability to do up here. Because I'm pretty sure that's what I heard was anytime the team travels to a southern team, that's what they like to do in their free time is go golf as much as possible when it's the winter up here.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, let's talk about the one that I thought was an
interesting one.
It's an interesting pick because I don't know if you're going to see him in Fresno, but go ahead.
Yeah, I think this is one that didn't shock anybody. I think everyone was just a little bit confused. The final Black Bear selected was goaltender Connor McAnanama, who was chosen 14th overall by the Fresno Falcons. McAnanama enjoyed another strong season in net, posting a 13-2-0 record with a 2.38 goals against average and a .909 save percentage. The veteran netminder played an important role in Binghamton's championship success and concludes his tenure with the 3 Commissioner Cups championships.
I want to say that Parker Moskal understands this league. He was a player in this league. He was an owner for a short period of time in Monroe and BD before he got ousted and everything happened. And then he made this pick here. He made another pick. His first pick, I think, was some other guy. Skinner. Well, I don't think that was his first pick, was it?
I thought it was.
Oh. Well, okay.
Didn't he pick like 3 goalies?
He did pick 3 goalies. Connor's not going to play. First of all, make a phone call first. I know that one of the other California teams, you and I both know this, called Connor. Connor then gets a phone call from an SPHL team right after that. But either way, the point is
he got it from 2 SPHL teams technically.
Well, technically, yes, he did. But I will say this. Parker, you could have called Connor. You could have, because I think this was a wasted pick. Connor's not going to play in the FPHL. He's got a pretty good situation. It's probably going to happen for him in the SPHL. And that's only if he doesn't get past the ECHL camp that he's more than likely going to get invited to. So I get it in the sense that if he does come back to the FPHL, somehow bombs in the SPHL, needs to come back and play, you could certainly say, hey, well, we have your rights until at least November 1st. If you don't report, then you're suspended until at least January 1st or however they set the rules up this year. Hopefully, with all the new communication that we are getting from the league, Taylor, which has been great so far, let's be honest, ever since things have changed hands leadership wise, the last 2 weeks, we've gotten nothing but great information, including the results from the drafts. All that stuff has been put out there. Communication has been great. But if Connor decides to come back, which I'd be surprised he would do, to me, this was just a wasted pick. And I guess maybe you didn't have a better choice, I guess. But yeah, that's my thoughts on this. I see Connor being in the SPHL full-time next year or part-time in the ECHL.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of what we all saw as well. And I maybe it's just, maybe he thought, oh, well, we didn't protect him because maybe he thought it was like a Don Oliveri situation where he wouldn't play anywhere but Binghamton, so we'd have to make a trade for him. Yeah, or something of that nature. Like maybe he was thinking that way where, if we want him that bad, we'll trade for him.
Right.
But if you had thought about it at all or done any type of research
or make a call,
which would take a couple seconds, or as you said, make a call and spend 2 seconds to talk to the guy. Yeah, it definitely seems like a wasted pick, and I truly don't understand the logic behind it, and I think that's kind of where the confusion is for us, at least. I don't know if there was a plan for him or if he just thought he got lucky and was able to snag him up. I don't know. But for us, it definitely sounded like a wasted pick. And I think Connor probably feels the same way.
Well, I'd heard from a good source that he thought it was a wasted pick, but that's besides the point. Let's get through the rest of this.
Of the 4 Black Bears selected, 3 were chosen by Mid-South head coach Mac Jansen, a former Black Bears forward who retired following the 24-25 season. Jansen's familiarity with Binghamton's championship culture was evident as he targeted Kirkby, Cervone, and Emery to help establish the foundation of the Monarchs' inaugural roster.
By the way, I wrote that wrong. That was the 25-26 season that he retired.
I didn't even notice that.
Oh, Bob. You got to love it. You got to love it. Either way.
This is what happens when we record on Thursday and not Wednesday.
Three players, obviously, going to the Mid-South Monarchs. Now, Mac could have picked other people. I don't necessarily know if Emerson, Emery, or Cam Cervone would have been picked up by other teams. So I don't think there was any collusion there. There was probably a little bit of collusion to get Tyson there. I'm just throwing that out there. It probably was a little bit. Everyone could expect that. I think the other two guys, it's very simple. Mac Jansen knows who he's getting, right? Mac Jansen knows what he's getting from Cam Cervone. He probably sees what I see, which is he could be a guy that's not going to just sit on the third line, and he could move up and be on the first line when it comes to D pairs. That's number one. Number two, he knows what he can get out of Emerson Emery. And I just think that he sees the value in the players that he got in the draft 100%. And what's very, very interesting, and we'll kind of get into this here just a little bit as well. Other former Binghamton players selected. The first one is Darian Benchik, who's also now going to go to Mid-South and the Monarchs. And I think Mac Jansen knew exactly what he was doing when he got Darian Benchik, Emerson Emery, Cam Cervone.
100%. I'm honestly surprised that Darian wasn't somebody that was protected in my honest opinion.
Yeah.
He was somebody that we talked about heavily when we faced Watertown because he was one of the very few guys that could consistently score on us. And for that reason alone I was kind of shocked to know that he was available for grabs, and Mac Jansen definitely took that opportunity to snag him up, and I don't blame him one bit.
No, I don't either, but I am kind of surprised that Watertown did not protect him. It's like, what are you guys thinking? Did you not see that he was your most consistent and best player the last 3 months of the season? I mean, who's running that organization right now? I have no idea. I know it's a club card guy who does cards and stuff. That's great. Did you not put it in? Did Clarkey just say, no, I don't want Benchik. I don't want any of these people. Maybe that's what it is. It was a clearinghouse, and he said, we'll just protect all the people that we know that people wouldn't want. I guess I don't know. Very strange.
Or maybe it was the same type of situation where Kirkby, where he had a conversation and said that he wanted to go somewhere else.
I guess
maybe.
But does he have that cachet? Right? Does he have
I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, Kirkby's one thing, Benchik, who's, a rookie still. Either way, kind of strange. Obviously, Connor McAnanama went to Fresno. Zachary Demarais went to Oceanside. Hopefully he gets a really good shot there if he goes there. Chris Mott, our friend Chris Mott, who will be in Binghamton in just a few weeks with Cam Clark doing another one of their skills and exercise sessions, which is very cool. Check that out.
I just want to say how awesome it is that those two guys are still doing stuff together, and they're doing it in Binghamton.
Yeah. Well,
that's awesome.
Yeah. It is awesome, and it's great. And I love those two guys, and I can't wait to see them in a few weeks here in Binghamton. So you got Chris Mott going to Stockton. I think that's a great pickup. He might go play in the SPHL as well. Cade Henry, wasted pick for Fresno. He was the rookie of the year in the SPHL. That kid is going somewhere. I sniff a ECHL call-up for Cade Henry next year. And then, of course, Jamie Bucell, who was a former Binghamton Black Bear. Brant Sherwood did bring him in, or brought him back, because he was here before Brant Sherwood, and then he came back. Jamie Bucell went to Stockton, but then was traded back to Port Huron the next day. So those were all the guys that were picked up in the draft, expansion draft, that were from Binghamton at one point in their career. I found that very interesting. But let's talk about the Jamie Bucell thing, because you said there was no way in hell he was actually going to be staying in Stockton.
Oh, yeah. I don't know how any of the Port Huron fans believe that for even a moment. I truly, he's going to live and breathe Port Huron Prowlers hockey until he wants to be done. He fits that. And I say this in a nice way. Like, I'm not talking any negativity about any of it. Yes.
You say it respectfully.
But there are certain players that when you see them on a certain team, you 100% know that they belong there. Yeah. There are certain Danbury players where you're like, they are 100%, they fit the Danbury quota. Like, that is who they are. That is where they belong.
Yeah.
There are certain players for Port Huron. Jamie Bucell is one of them. They fit that quota. They belong there. It's just who they are. Nick Stuckless, he's a Bobcat, former Binghamton Black Bear.
Yeah.
He belongs with the Bobcats. You can't convince me otherwise. He fits that quota for them.
Yeah.
And Jamie Bucell is just one of those players where he's definitely a prowler, and he's not going to play anywhere else.
Yeah.
And I saw that coming from a mile away, that they were going to do a trade or whatever they needed to do to get his rights back. It was, in my opinion, a Don Oliveri situation. Don Oliveri wouldn't play anywhere else besides Binghamton because his connection with Brant, because it was, close to home,
right?
All the X, Y's, and Z's of that situation. But there was no physical way for us to make the trade that would make sense for both teams to get his rights back.
Yeah.
Obviously, Port Huron had the ability to do that, and that's what they did.
Yeah, it's kind of like the whole Justin Samaro situation, right? I always forget that he played with Binghamton. I know he played with Binghamton. He won a championship here in Binghamton, right? And 44 games played with Binghamton in his career. But then he went and he's played over almost 100 games with other people, right? Fayetteville in the SPHL, and then Columbus the last 2 years. He's got over 88 games or 91 games, something like that. 81 games with the Columbus River Dragons. I forget that he's a River Dragon, but because he's more a River Dragon now than he is a Binghamton Black Bear, even though he won the championship with the Binghamton Black Bears. He played 4 games in the playoffs, so he's definitely a champion, but I forget about that. There's a lot of guys within this league that now play for other teams where you go, yeah, he's a prowler. Oh, yeah, he's a River Dragon more than he is a Black Bear anymore.
Yeah, it's almost to the point where if you took all the rosters and you had their image, you could sit there and divide them into teams based on their looks, because certain teams have certain looks, and you can almost just do that where you can kind of judge a book by its cover and kind of place these guys where you think they belong solely on how they look. Like Johnny Ruiz, I could not see him being anything else but a Danbury hat trick.
Right.
I couldn't see it. It's one of those things where he looks like a Danbury hat trick, and I don't think he could be anything else, in my opinion.
No, I don't disagree with you. Oh, by the way, Mid-South also picked up Chance Adrian from Danbury. I thought that was a very smart pick. I think this is a kid that's going to excel pretty well under Mac Jansen if he heads down there. Very smart pick. I liked what I saw from Chance Adrian when he was in Danbury. I think this was a good pick for Mac Jansen as well.
Yeah, that was definitely a name that we talked about when Danbury had picked him up. And we had, the games against Danbury was one of the kids that we constantly kept an eye on for sure.
Yeah, 100%. All right. So coming up next year on the Power Play Post, well, actually, no, we're talking about the dispersal draft. There was a dispersal draft earlier today, and the Binghamton Black Bears picked up 2 Athens Rock Lobsters players in the dispersal draft on Thursday afternoon. That happened at 1:00. Now, about 1:30, I had messaged Brant and I said, hey, did you pick up anybody? Because I didn't expect him to. I honestly did not expect him to pick up anybody from either Biloxi or Athens, but he did. The first player was Eric Neily. Actually, Eric Neily was the last person picked in the draft. So let me talk about Matt Sayles first. He's a goalie with Athens. In 6 games played, he was 5-1, 3.53 goals against average, and a .905 save percentage. With PD in 7 games, he was 3-4 and had a 3.75 goals against average and an .878 save percentage. If Dom comes back and if Matt Sayles actually signs with Binghamton, he would be the backup to Dominic Tomei with easily. Now, the second pick, which was actually the last pick of the dispersal draft, they did post the list on the Fed website on the order of the draft and who was picked. The Black Bears did pick Eric Neily. He was a forward with Athens in 41 games played, 25 goals, 35 assists for 60 points. Great numbers. In Macon in the SPHL, 4 games played, 2 goals, 2 assists for 4 points. Now, if I'm going to call out Parker Bucell and say that was a wasted pick, Brant, in my opinion, Eric Neely's a wasted pick. He played 8 seasons in the ECHL, 3 seasons in the EIHL, which is the elite ice hockey league out in England. He played 3 seasons there, and then he came back and played with Athens. He played with Athens because he got paid to play in Athens. That's really what it came down to. He got paid to come down here and play. I can't see a 12-year going into his 13th season, coming up to Binghamton, cold weather, probably not going to get paid as much as Athens. I don't see Eric Neily playing a game for the Binghamton Black Bears. What's important here, folks, is all these drafts have nothing to do with a player actually showing up and playing a game. It just means that the teams now hold those rights, and now they got to sign contracts with them, which they'll try to do throughout the summertime, including Binghamton with Eric Neily and Matt Sayles. Just because you saw that doesn't mean you can welcome them to Binghamton, because they haven't signed or are in Binghamton right now. We just own the rights to them. That's all this was. This is a very procedural thing, not an actual, hey, here, welcome to reality type of thing. Matt Sayles, you are an actual Binghamton Black Bear. No, he's not yet. Neither is Eric Neily. These guys still have to sign contracts now with those teams, and they'll start off with PTO contracts, which is something that is just a placeholder until September, early October, when they actually sign the real contracts during training camps. So I just wanted to throw that out there for everyone. Taylor, your thoughts. Were you surprised that we even picked anybody? Because we normally don't pick. Like 2 years ago when Motor City was dispersed, Brant said, pass.
I'm not necessarily surprised. I am a little bit, and I'm not. Knowing that we, obviously you had said that Eric Neily was the last player to be picked, and, with points like that, it makes sense to grab somebody. Like, I understand, he's played in the ECHL. He got paid, to play in Athens, which brought me, as you said that, all I could think about was Brant has to do whatever it takes to get Eric Neily to come here, just so Chris Paulin has a way to talk about her, keeping us nice and fat and happy over here. Well, because all I could think about was keeping the having the $1 million player who, he's now a Monarch, so we can't use that one. So we need Eric Neily just for Chris Paulin and all those guys in Port Huron to understand that we have the $1 million players that we supposedly have.
No, it was a $1 billion player.
Was it? Oh, I thought it was $1 million. I was off. Matt
Graham called him the $1 billion player while being interviewed by Braden, by the way, the new Motor City broadcaster. Yeah, I just wanted to throw that to you. I want to be, transparent, not transparent. I want to show some objectivity, right? If I said Parker made a bad call by picking Connor, I don't think Eric Neily is going to come play for us. And, but it is what it is, and we move on. We hold his rights, and we'll see what happens. But I think either he shows up on an SPHL team, even though he wasn't protected. Here's the funny thing, Taylor, I found out, and I think I told you this earlier in a chat. Eric Neily was not protected by any SPHL team, but he was protected in the ECHL for the Atlanta Gladiators, which is the team that he last played for like 2 years ago. So he's protected in ECHL, so he can't go and play for anybody else but the Atlanta Gladiators, but he can play for any team in the SPHL. And right now, he can only play for the Binghamton Black Bears if he came to the FPHL, at least for the first couple months of the season. So very interesting stuff. We'll see what happens. Coming up after our interview with Dylan Konecny, we're going to talk about the league, the distance within the league, and an argument that I really want to put to bed about Binghamton and the SPHL. But coming up first, we're going to play our interview with Dylan Konecny. We'll be right back right after this, right here on the Power Play Post Show.
Hi, this is Don Biggs from the 92-93 Binghamton Rangers. Hi, this is Brandon Buchinski.
This is Grady Wittenberg, the voice of the Binghamton Senators, and you're listening to the Power Play Post Show.
Here is another Power Play Post Show interview exclusive with Bob Howard.
And welcome back, everybody, to the Power Play Post Show. I know we've been talking extensively about the expansion draft and people leaving, but now I want to kind of lighten things up a little bit and bring in a good friend of ours, someone from, the last few years being here. He is Dylan Konecny. Dylan, welcome to the show. It's great to have you on. I know last year you were with the Bridgeport Islanders. I'm still not used to saying that because for the longest time I always called them the Sound Tigers. You were with the Bridgeport Islanders, and now you're going to be with the Hamilton team, the Hamilton Hammers. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
Can someone explain to me? Can you explain to me what a hammer is when it comes to a hockey player?
It's not so much to a hockey player. I guess it's like their slap shot. You can call a hammer, but
fair enough.
That's the nickname of Hamilton, I guess, is the hammer.
All right. Well, that's very interesting. So we'll get into that in just a few seconds. What was it like for you to be back in the American Hockey League, doing what you love, which obviously, taking care of the players and obviously doing all that stuff. But what was it like to be back into the American Hockey League again?
It was incredible. I mean, just the way they treated my family, it's truly professional in every aspect of everything. And it's just been amazing this last year. So couldn't be happier about it. Yeah.
And you did not grow up an Islanders fan.
Nope.
We'll be honest about that. You grew up a Rangers fan, but I know at one point I saw you during the season and you were wearing something Islanders or something Bridgeport. And I looked at you and you were like, hey, I'm a big fan now and everything. Is for players, that happens a lot, right? Where a player grew up in Toronto or grew up in Chicago or in New York, and then they go and they play for a team like in St. Louis or, out in LA or whatever. And all of a sudden, that fanship has to be kind of quiet and whatnot. And the Rangers have made it easy for you not to be a fan of them. They've made it easy for all of us at this point. Chris Drury has done a great job. Thank you, Chris. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
But talk about that, because it's got to be a little bit harder as you get closer to the NHL. And you grew up a New York Rangers fan. You grew up a Binghamton hockey fan first, though. Let's definitely clarify.
100%.
But how difficult is it as you're getting closer and closer to the NHL that you kind of have to keep some of that fanhood down a little bit?
I mean, to be honest with it, it was funny. The first day of training camp, I didn't even realize that I still had a Rangers hat in my window. And my buddy was like, you got to get that out of there. And I was like, yeah, I'll get it right now. But they still say, they're like, dude, just because you're with the organization doesn't mean you still can't be a fan. But to me, my heart is with the Islanders, and I want the Islanders to win, and I want us to win. And, that's how it is for me now. So.
And talk a little bit about this season, being the assistant and not being the head equipment manager. Was there some new stuff that you had to learn this year?
Oh yeah, absolutely. My boss, Brent, he's the best. He's one of the best around. He knows everything. And like I said before, there's a lot of things that I didn't know how to do. It's
like what?
Profiles on steel was a big thing I didn't really comprehend, because, in Binghamton, we didn't have a way to do that. And profiles is you're just changing the center point of the steel. So it virtually makes a player feel like they're on their toes or they're on their heels a little bit more, and you could bend and shape it in certain ways like that. So I didn't really have a means to do that. And then I come to the Islanders, and, we're with the Elite Blade Performance sharpeners. So we have this whole rig that you put a template in and you put the steel in, and you could do 2 sets of steel at a time. And it just reads this template to the perfect thing that the player wants. And then you put it into the machine and it sharpens it, and it's all by computer. So when it comes up, it reads the steel and it sharpens it to that profile every single time. So it never goes away and just keeps it identical. So in Bridgeport, we had it. So whenever players got called up to New York, that's no change in anything. It's the same machine, so forward.
Well, let me ask you this question. Does that mean, because we've seen a lot of video of you here in Binghamton, taking the blade up to the grinder and actually shaving it and, getting it to the way you need, not up in Bridgeport, right? Up there, you're putting it actually into a machine. A machine's doing the work, correct?
Yeah, so the beginning of the year, for the first couple months, the machine didn't actually show up to us yet. So we were hand sharpening. We split it about halfway, me and my boss, which was to me pretty cool because I'm sharpening, these pro NHL draft picks and everything like that. I'm sharpening their steel right now, and no complaints from anybody, so it was going good. And then this machine came in, and the whole point is you just press a button and the machine does it itself. And they, like I said, they just want it to be so there's no change whatsoever between Bridgeport or Hamilton, I should say, to New York, so just keeps it nice and fluid for the players.
Now, like how often, like if you took my skates, and I'm a young prospect for the New York Islanders and I'm there in Bridgeport and I let you know exactly how I want it, how many times would I be coming to you to have them resharpened? It's not after every game, correct?
Well, the players don't come. They don't come to us. We just every single day we go around, we check them, and for the most part, we were changing every guy every single day. And then after that was done, obviously every pair that got taken out would go into the machine, and so they always had fresh steel at all times. And we had 6 sets of steel for each guy at all times. And then obviously once steel goes down, we just make them a brand new set and then just be a full, kind of like how I did here in Binghamton, except we only had 2, maybe 3 sets, just a full rotation of steel and just always fresh and ready to go for them.
Tell the fans the story. This is a Binghamton story about the gloves, you remember when you guys were, I think it was you and Aiden, were bringing gloves to the bench and the fans were kind of getting on you and whatnot. That's something that they would do in the NHL too, correct?
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, even so in Bridgeport this year, we actually only had 1 guy only started doing it halfway through the year, but we had 2 guys that switched their gloves through periods like that. But when I was during preseason game for New York, there was a lot of guys doing it. It happens all the time. So
because they want dry gloves, correct?
Yeah. I mean, one of the guys on our team, he would switch it at the 10-minute mark, just like, Kirks and Ando and all those guys would do. But then, like, say it was a third period and it was a close game and he's putting in a lot of effort. He's sweating a little bit more because it could be hotter in that room. He'd switch them to me and he'd just be like, hey, just be watching for me. Like, I could be coming. Like, I'm, I want my gloves dry. So like, if you see me coming over, sprint over, grab them, so get a little routine going with them like that in a way. And you're always with them. So,
okay. So on the bench, is there 2 equipment managers in the AHL on the bench or just 1?
It kind of depends where you are. So in Bridgeport, our locker room was down in like the corner. So I was kind of, like where Jeets or where Aiden stood when I was in Binghamton, like in that corner, in case anything would go wrong. My boss would call me. I'd run over to the bench, grab them. Before we got that elite machine, I was always grabbing steel, running back in, sharpening, and they change a lot more than the Binghamton guys do.
Right. So,
I mean, a lot of times I wasn't even getting to watch like games. I was just constantly sharpening steel in between periods and in periods.
So what other types of things did you learn that are different? Because let's be honest, in the 10 years that, I don't want to say it's 10 years. What's it been? 7 years since you started working with the Devils doing this. There's a lot of technology advances, right? Obviously the blades, the way they're being sharpened is different. What else is different now than maybe even when you were working with the Devils, and how technology has just changed? What else is different?
Really just the way you can handle the steel anymore. There's so many different options to do it. I mean, you have the Sparks machines, which in my opinion, those aren't the greatest, but you have the elite machines like we have, you have Skag machines, you have the skate scribes. There's so many ways to manipulate steel anymore that it's, and being like new and fresh into this, it's kind of hard to get a grasp on because, I haven't seen a lot of these machines in my life. So I see them. And when our machine came in, our elite machine, I sat on my phone on YouTube for because obviously Darian and Tatum weren't with me all the time. So I was just sitting there in my apartment watching videos on how this elite machine works and learning everything about it so I could master it, you know?
So what about sticks? Like how have sticks changed over, say, this last 7 or 8 years? Because, you know, I know players will tape their own sticks a lot of the times and whatnot. But for an equipment manager, how has that changed for you guys in the last 7 or 8 years?
They're so light anymore.
Oh, they are.
They're like feathers. And I mean, that was kind of like the cool thing with the CCM reps. We always got to get a little glimpse of the new stuff coming out, and everything just gets lighter by the year. The graphics get a little bit more with the ages, you know, like CCM, they'll offer a little bit more colors, like the pinks and the bright blues that everybody likes now, you know? Yeah. But other than that, it's really just maybe the technology and the blades. I mean, these guys in the American League, when it comes to their sticks, they're full custom. I mean, the blades are whatever they want, whether it's stiff, soft, you know what I mean? They could combine multiple curves into one to make it their specific curve. The lies of the stick, it all changes based off how the player is. And that's kind of something that guys in the Federal League or the SP, even the Coast, don't get to do. You know what I mean?
Because of cost, number one, right?
Yeah, cost, and just in a way they don't, like the big time companies don't want to waste their time. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
they're doing NHL, AHL, NCAA Division I. You know what I mean? They're signing
major junior.
Yeah, and when it comes to those like NCAA Division I, major junior, the teams are paying CCM to use like the products. You know what I mean? Or vice versa, whatever it is. So yeah.
So you were obviously gone for probably the longest time you have been for a while from Binghamton. Talk about what it was like to be away from not only just, you know, Tatum and Darian, but of course, you know, your family and being away from Binghamton hockey as well. What was this past, you know, 6-7 months like for you?
It was awesome. I mean, Connecticut, I loved it. It was beautiful. It's weird to kind of consider it like a vacation destination because there's beaches everywhere.
Sure.
But like, yeah, I loved it. It sucked being away from the family. They came down quite a bit. It actually kind of, last time I was on, I basically said I was going down alone, and then plans kind of changed on us, and they ended up not necessarily moving down there, but they spent quite a bit of time. But with our schedule, so many games and longer road trips, you know, you could be gone weekends and stuff like that. Those are the times where she'd go home just because I'm not going to be home, you know?
Right.
But I followed tabs on Binghamton. It was always kind of a thing after our games on the bus. I'd throw it on my phone and, you know, like everybody would be like, what are you watching over there? I'm like, it's my boys. I'm just keeping tabs, you know, keeping tabs.
So how often do you think you were able to watch the Binghamton games?
I didn't really get a chance to watch like a game fully, just because we always had a game at the same times, it seemed like. So I'd really catch like the third periods of games. There was actually one time we didn't have a game on a Saturday, I think it was, maybe a Friday.
Yeah.
And they were in Danbury. So me and Darian and the baby jumped in the car, drove an hour to Danbury, and I sat in the crowd with the fans that were harassing me for the last 3 years.
I was going to say, awesome. the police let you in the building? I mean, that's just nuts.
Yeah, it was funny. Herm was giving me some like looks like,
was he really?
Like, is that who I think? Is that who I think it is? And I was like, yeah.
Herm, I bought a ticket. Leave me the fuck alone, right? You know, that's the way you got to look at it.
I didn't buy a ticket. He didn't left me a ticket.
I love it. Yeah. So it was okay. Now with the team moving to Hamilton, how will that affect Darian and obviously Tatum to be able to come be with you a little bit more, or will it limit that a little bit?
It's about the same drive from Bridgeport to Binghamton to Hamilton. So in that aspect, I don't think it's going to like really stop that much. Maybe the border might, after the first trip up or second trip up, she might get a little sick of the border and say, I'm not doing this for a little bit. I was just going to say, does Tatum have her passport yet? That's the more important thing. No, she does not. We have to actually, we got to get on that.
So she has to get one, even though she's just a baby, basically, still, right? Like a year old.
I believe she does. Yeah, to cross the border. Yeah, I believe she does. But yeah, it's not going to be that much different.
Mm-hmm.
We're looking to sort of maybe build some sort of like mini home cabin-esque thing here in Binghamton on her dad's property up here, just so we have someplace to call home.
Sure.
You know, for the summers as we come back to. And if that is the case, then there might be a little bit more of her staying home this year, just because you got to kind of make a sacrifice to really get what you want. You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
And I'm making some decent money now. So it's, you gotta save it a little bit for what we want. And if that's the case and we're doing this, it's going to be a little bit less time with each other and more away this year. So,
because I think people forget that it's not just hockey players that kind of sacrifice these type of moments in some cases. Right. And we know what kind of moments we're talking about, being away from home, from, you know, kids growing up, or just being away from your partner, the person that you love more than anything in the world, other than Bob Howard and the Power Play Post Show, of course.
And I still listen to you all year. I always have my headphones in. What are you listening to? The bingo show, you know.
Which is funny because it used to be the AHL show, so which is pretty hilarious. But even the support staff of these hockey teams, whether it's the FPHL, the SPHL, the ECHL, the AHL, obviously in the NHL, there are sacrifices that people make. It's a little bit easier as you go up higher in the levels because the money is a little bit better, of course, and everything.
Yeah.
But there are sacrifices, and that sacrifice still happens even though you're in the AHL because there's that time separated.
Yep. Yeah, it's tough. I mean, we got to do it though, you know, like we need a place to really settle down here in Binghamton and just be able to come home and spend time with family when you don't get to all year, you know? So
100%. So no, you said that you were able to watch a little bit and you were able to listen to the Power Play Post Show. Was there one particular interview that I did that was so amazing? Can you throw, like, was there a really great one this past year that I should, really be proud of?
I mean, anytime you throw in the equipment staff, it's always going to be a good one.
So
we don't get much love. So
you did listen to the interview with Aiden, who I thought did a freaking phenomenal job. Like, I was a little worried he was going to be nervous and not talk much, but no, he got really into it.
He might have been a little nervous. He might have called me, and I was like, "Dude, you're talking to Bob. You're good. Don't worry about it."
Yeah, I make this shit easy for people. I got to be honest with you. I got to ask tougher questions. I thought Aiden did a great job, and I thought one of the really cool things about Aiden is he grew a lot this past year.
Yeah.
Talk about how proud you are of him, because I know you are. I know you're proud of what Aiden and Chris and Jeets have all done after you left, because they did a great job. I don't think there was too many complaints, maybe a couple complaints, but not too many.
I don't think so. I mean, keeping that culture that, we established from the beginning and just, providing everything that these guys want and even learning. I mean, like he said, he called me quite a bit about things and I helped him as much as I could on the phone, and he slowly, would start getting the hang of things based off the conversations we'd have. And by the end of the year, I think he had it pretty mastered. So I couldn't be happier for him, man. And big things in the future for him, I'm hoping. So, and I hope I can help him in ways that people help me, so.
Yeah. Well, even down the road, getting, up into higher levels of hockey as well, which will be great. Maybe someday you'll be the head equipment manager of the New York Rangers and you'll bring him in as your assistant.
You never know. The world's small, and that's how hockey works.
It really does. Talk to me a little bit about Binghamton winning the third championship here. To me, it doesn't surprise me when I think about it now because of the culture that Brant Sherwood really kind of started. It starts with Andreas, then it goes to Brant, and then below that, it's just like everybody just seems to buy in. What was your thoughts? Were you guys still in the playoffs at the time when they won the championship in early May?
No, we lost in the first round. So I was here for the championships. I saw you, Bob.
That's right.
You said, "Where'd your hair go?" I think. Remember, I cut my hair.
Oh, that's right. You did. And I cut my hair too. I don't know if you.
Yeah, that's right.
Realized.
I was surprised too.
I got so much shit from people. People were upset that I cut my hair during the season. They thought I was jinxing the team. I'm like, I don't have anything to do with how this team plays. Nothing I say, nothing I do with my head or my hair is going to matter. And yeah, I caught shit on that.
I waited till the end of the season, Bob. That's all I gotta say.
You guys are too damn superstitious.
I am very superstitious.
But your thoughts on them winning? And you're right, we did see each other.
It's not. I didn't like. I don't want to say like I knew it was going to happen. Like,
okay,
but I had full confidence in these guys. Like, they're all my best friends, so I still would talk to them and, like I said, watch the games. And it was incredible. It being up in the stands. I was actually sitting next to Stubbsy's mom. We were having a blast up there.
You got to be a fan, right? You got to be a fan. By the way, she's a trip. She was so awesome to meet.
Yeah, it was. I looked over and I was like, "Are you Stubbs' mom?" And she's like, "Yeah." So I introduced myself, and she was like, "Oh, CJ's told me a lot about you. Like, thank you for everything you did for him." And that actually, like, that was very nice. That was very. It meant a lot to me. But
dude, I get that too from them. So it's kind of nice. I know what you mean.
Yeah,
I know what you mean.
Yeah. But sitting up there in the stands, like, it's nice watching a game for once and being able to have like a nice beverage with you. But it was bittersweet. Like, part of me, I don't want to say wishes I was there, but like, you know, it was just like, oh man, I want to be a part of that so bad right now. And
yeah,
as soon as it was over, I took my pass that Aiden gave me and I ran out there and gave everybody giant hugs. And then, you know, they're all like, you're gonna come in, you're gonna come hang out. And I was like, no, man, this isn't my celebration anymore. This is all you guys. Go enjoy it. I just wanted to say I love you guys, and I'm so proud of you, and you know, all that. So,
well, Dylan, one of the cool things that Jesse Anderson did for me, Ando, is we were out on the ice and I was taking pictures of people. And he's like, "You're gonna come in and take pictures of us doing the champagne, right?" And I'm like, "No, that's not for me. That's for you guys." He goes, "You're coming in and taking pictures of the champagne thing." He invited me into the room in a way, and he may have thought, well, Bob's going to capture a nice picture, right? Bob's going to capture a few pictures that'll be very cool, and I did. I put it out there. He doesn't realize what that meant to me. Because I've always tried to distance myself from the guys, right? I don't go out drinking with anybody, even though I've been asked to go out. I've been asked to kind of partake in some of that fun stuff, right? Because, you know, the team has always said, you're a part of the team. Because I bring them on and I talk to them a lot and stuff. But him inviting me in to take those pictures. Now, of course, I didn't know there was going to be a whole line of girlfriends and fiancés taking pictures as well. It was me and Malik in there up on the stalls, and we were taking pictures, and he was taking video, I was taking pictures, and that was great and everything. I didn't expect all the other people to be there, but man, it was amazing. Like 3 years into this, and it made me feel so a part of it. And that's what I think Binghamton and what the culture of Brant Sherwood and Good Guys First and all that stuff really felt really nice to be included in that.
Yeah, that's the best moment of the whole thing, right? It's that 10, 20, maybe 30 minutes that the team gets with, you know, their loved ones, the ones that, like you, media that covered the team, that with them all season, you know what I mean? And you can kind of get away from the rest of the noise and just be with, you know, your crew, you know what I mean? And just let all the emotions out and just spray each other with champagne. It's the best, feeling ever.
I got hit a couple times too. It was actually kind of nice. I went home and my wife was like, "You smell like champagne." I'm like, "Oh, good. I'm glad."
Yeah, I saw they had the big goggles this year, all of them.
They did. It was pretty hilarious. Some great pictures I got in there, and it just felt so nice to be part of that. Even though I've tried to distance myself from that, one of the regrets, but non-regrets. It's kind of like one of those things when Binghamton won in 2011. I covered the team. I took pictures of the championship, the parade, and, I had my badge. So I was able to go in certain areas that most fans couldn't go. So I felt very blessed on that. But then I went down to Dillinger's and I partied it up with all the guys. And I didn't care. And I didn't think about that. And it's not that I regretted it. It's just like I felt like maybe I shouldn't have done that with media, but they wanted me there. They literally want, when Colin Greening says drink out of the cup, you drink out of the cup.
Drink out of the cup.
And that was really cool. And Jason Bailey was like, you're going to take a picture with the cup. And I'm like, nah, I really probably shouldn't, and everything, because I didn't win it. He goes, Bob, you were a part of all of this and everything. I was like, no, I wasn't. And then he was like, take a goddamn picture with the cup. So me and my best friend Roger took a picture with the cup. And then he's like, all right, have you kissed the cup yet? And I'm like, no, I'm not kissing the cup. He's like, make out with the cup right now. And it was just one of the funniest moments. And I'll always remember it. And I kind of like, don't know if I should have done that, but it was kind of neat to do. So it was a great time. I'm glad you got to enjoy it as a fan. Because
and
that's awesome.
It was funny. It was funny as I was down on the ice. After I kind of said my last goodbye. I think my last goodbye was to Kirk's, and obviously he had the cup in his hand, getting ready to bring it into the room. Mm-hmm. Gave him a big hug, and I was like, hey, one more thing before I go. And I grabbed it from him, and I looked for my name on it, and I gave it 2 quick kisses, and I handed it back to him. All right, now I'll see you.
Well, you got to go win the Calder Cup now next year with the Hamilton Hammers. That's the way it has to be. That's
right. I'll never forget when you said after the first one, there's more in your future, and hopefully the next one's bigger.
I definitely said that to you because I truly believe that you're one of the best people in the hockey community that I know, and I mean that truthfully.
Thank you.
You always come look for me when you're in town, especially at the rink. And you're always good for a great hug, even though you're about 5'4" and I'm 6 foot tall. It's just an awkward hug, but no, I'm kidding.
It's true though.
You are shorter.
I'm a little guy.
You're a little guy. But you could probably kick my ass on skates. So, because I haven't done it in about 30 years, and you've at least been on skates.
I wasn't a fighter. I was a little. I thought I was a skill guy, but I wasn't.
I just meant skating. You can kick my ass and everything.
I can still skate around a little bit, but even I haven't played even like a men's league game in 2 years. It's just there's so much hockey in your life that when you actually have a day off or some time away, you don't want to deal with it anymore.
All right. Before I let you go, obviously the expansion draft just happened. We've talked about Kirkby just a little bit. He obviously wanted a new challenge in his life. He'd been here for the last 5 years, obviously was a big part of the culture to win 3 championships. Your thoughts on him, Emerson Emery, who I absolutely love, Cam Cervone, who I absolutely love. These 3 guys going with Mac Jansen, who was here this past year. And I don't know if you got much time with Mac at all this year as you visited. They're all heading to Mid-South, Andreas's other team, to kind of build a brand new team in the FPHL. What are your thoughts on those 3 guys? Those 4 guys, really, but those 3 guys that you spent so much time with going down there and doing that together.
I mean, I'm happy for him. It's another, I'm going to use the word bittersweet. It's bittersweet, but, everything comes to an end at some point, and people have to move on. I think Kirk's is in a way that he's looking toward the future is, whether it's coaching, I think is good calling for him.
Yeah.
And I think that's where it starts. He'll learn from Janny on how to do that. And he's going to bring the stuff that he learned from Sherwood with him. And, he's bringing CC and Emerson, who's that Swiss Army knife, he can play forward, defense.
Anything.
He'll fight. I actually loved it. His expansion draft thing. It was just a bunch of videos of him punching people.
Yeah, it was
with one goal tucked in there, which was a good little shot for him. So
yeah,
it's good for all of them. I texted them all saying congrats. Like, enjoy the next part of your journey here. Go enjoy the South for a little bit. But I mean, even like what you said with Janny, if I got to know him, this goes to show how great these guys are. Like the first day after the first game when I was there for the banner and everything, Bondarenko, Janny, I think there might have been somebody else. Never met these guys before.
Yeah.
But they all knew that I was the equipment manager from the last couple of years, and you would have thought that all of us were best friends, man. Like,
isn't that great?
I mean, even when you took those pictures of me and Tatum down at the glass and stuff, Bondo was there banging on the glass and squirting water at her and stuff. Yeah. And I don't even really know Bondo very well, but I feel like he's one of my brothers just because once you're a black bear, you're always a black bear, you know?
Yeah, 100%. And those were great pictures. And Tatum's favorite player is Zach Sirota. Can you explain this to us?
Zach Sirota, the rat.
He's scary to a lot of people. And yeah, Tatum, that's her favorite player.
Yeah, it's the off ice stuff when Mac, Sirota, Fletch, we kind of weebs. We had a good little group of guys that were living over in Whitney Point that would come over to my father-in-law's house here for dinner quite a bit. And Sirota is just Sirota, and he's a goofy human being, and he does these things where he just like makes these weird noises, and if somehow it works perfectly when there's a baby in the room, and she loves it. And Uncle Sirota is her favorite.
That's so sweet. That is so very sweet.
Yeah, he's great with kids. You wouldn't believe it.
So if Brant Sherwood moves on and goes to coach in the SPHL or the ECHL, or he stays, what do you think about the culture of this team going forward?
It's a winning culture. I mean, they had, like, it sounds kind of stupid, but the stuff that they have on the walls now, you know, like above the locker room and everything like that, like that all means stuff that was put there for a reason, you know.
Good guys first. Yes.
Yeah. The culture has been set in Binghamton in that locker room. And it doesn't, in my opinion, like if Brant moves on, he's going to find somebody that can do the job just as well as he did. So I don't think anybody has to worry in that aspect, but you know, it'll be different faces, but that doesn't mean that the team can't be as good or the culture is going to change. The culture is set and it's a winning environment and they have the facilities and everything to keep on winning. And I think they can still do it. I mean, the fan support will always be there. So yeah.
You when you went from the Devils to the Black Bears, you brought a level of high level professionalism to the equipment manager role. And then you were part of 2 winning championship teams and maybe even pseudo part of this one just because of you training Aiden to be a part of that. Have you been able to, going back to the AHL, be able to take some of that culture with you, even though you can't get the guys to listen to you and, you know, play on the ice and, you know, they got to do their own thing. Is there a part of the culture from Binghamton that you are taking with you in Bridgeport and now Hamilton? Does that make sense?
Know if I would, I don't know if I would say necessarily the culture. I mean, I don't know. I guess you can. I even though I'm an equipment manager, I don't expect, but I want to win every game. And if we lose, I'm not happy. It makes your job a lot less fun when you lose. So I don't know necessarily the culture, but like,
it's not always about winning as the culture, right? Because, because Brant talks about it all the time. He wants everybody to get along because if they get along, they're bound to play for each other a little bit more, right? Yeah. And I think that locker room doesn't just consist of players. It consists of the support staff as well.
Yeah. I mean, for us, everybody got along so well. I mean, I've never had that many people work together in like fluidity like that. You know what I mean? But I did bring, in my opinion, I brought my personality to them. You know what I mean? Like I always tried to be in a good mood and keep people laughing. And I think that was, I guess, kind of maybe the part of the culture that I brought, that I brought to Binghamton, you know, like I'll never forget Q when I came home for some time and I came to the locker room and I talked to him and he was like, hey, just remember, you're an equipment manager in the American League now. You can't have a bad day ever.
Yeah.
You have to have a smile on your face at all times. You can't, if something's bothering you, you can't let it bother you because you're the first face that everybody sees and wants to come see in the morning. So I think that's, I guess, part of some of the stuff I brought. I mean, like I said, my boss, he's incredible. So he he's a lot more hands-on than I was. I'm still learning on some things, but towards the season, as it got on, I got a lot more hands-on with things. But yeah, I guess just my personality is what I brought, just always being in a good mood and keeping the locker room light and fun. Yeah.
And not going to jail, right? That's
no, that stuff doesn't happen.
No handcuffs
up here. No handcuffs. We're treated very well by road teams. Yeah. It's actually a lot different. Like there's no like all day at the rinks like we do here in Bingo. It's you get a little time to go get lunch and have some time away for a little bit. So
okay, so let me ask you a few of the altered 6 more questions.
Yeah.
What was your favorite arena to go to this past year?
My favorite arena, I guess arena wise, it was probably Laval.
Okay.
They sell out like every night. It's packed. It's state of the art. It's beautiful. I actually left tickets for Nick Poirier.
Oh, nice.
And him and his family came down and saw me. They actually gave me like a little Christmas gift card thing, which is sweet of them. But
that's so awesome.
That was probably one of my favorite places. And then going to Charlotte, I mean, that's a beautiful city. We got to go out to dinner down there in downtown Charlotte. And
are they playing in the old nice Bojangles arena?
Yeah. That's why I didn't say it was probably the nicest arena I went to, but it was the most fun trip we went on.
Yeah, no, that's the old Bojangles. Very cool. Okay, so most interesting guy in the locker room, and you can't say yourself.
No, is a fella by the name of Adam Beckman. He probably one of the funniest human beings I've ever met. He's just he's a guy from Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, and
not that far from where Chicho Latham probably was.
Yeah. Actually, one of Chichu's friends from back home is Ethan Barron. He was on our team this year, so small world how that works.
That is pretty cool. I think Chichu's from Upper Manitoba, but it's right across from where Saskatchewan and all is and everything, which is very cool. When you were on the road, what was the one thing you had to have with you snack wise?
Snack wise.
Yeah.
Like bus snack?
Yeah. What was the thing that you had to have with you?
We always got provided breakfast and stuff in the morning, and we always had these like yogurt parfaits or these like strawberry strawberry cheesecake, overnight oat things that we'd get for like breakfast things in the morning, and I loved them. So like there'd always be a lot of extras, and that was something I'd grab for the bus just so I could get a little something in my stomach before the game.
Awesome. He is Dylan Konecny. He is the assistant equipment manager for the Hamilton Hammers, which I got to get used to saying. I got to get used to that. Hamilton Hammers. And he will be up there at the 18,000 seat TD Coliseum. Which sir. I'm trying to remember, what did we used to call it back in the day? The Hamilton, I think it was just the Hamilton Arena back then.
I think that's what it was. I'm not sure.
Yeah, didn't have a thing, but that's who he is. He is Dylan Konecny, and we love you, and we see your family every once in a while at the games, and of course, it's always great to see Darren and Tatum. Everybody loves Tatum. Probably more than they love you guys now, which is it's unfortunate, but that's just the way it is, right? When you become parents, people like your kids more.
It's okay. She's the cutest little baby in the world. So
she is, and she made for a great model for me, which I'm glad you guys enjoyed that picture there. Those pictures that I took. Dylan,
we loved them.
Dylan, thank you so much.
Thank you, Bob.
It's always a pleasure to get to talk to you. Hopefully we can continue to do this as you're moving up in your career, because I've done an NHL head coach. I haven't done an NHL head equipment manager. So you have to make that.
Hopefully someday that's what the case is here.
Yeah.
Two quick things before we go.
Absolutely.
I'm in the other room, so she can't hear me right now, but maybe she'll listen to it. I just shout out to my beautiful wife. We just got married last weekend.
Yeah, congratulations.
Thank you. I just shout out to her for sticking with me through this with the travel and everything like that with a baby. It's incredibly hard for her. So huge shout out to her. And then it's just a quick thing that I like to say was because, coming from Binghamton to where I am, like I was literally working for the Black Bears, and 3 months later I'm at NHL training camp, and one of the first people I got to meet down there was Matthew Schaffer. So that was a kind of a whirlwind experience for me, just I had to meet him in the hotel and like take his bag from him and everything. So it was just like, holy, I'm here, this is the first overall draft pick. So
what did he say anything to you?
Oh yeah. We became, in my opinion, like obviously he's who he is, and he's probably forgotten about me by now until we see him in a couple weeks in training camp. But we became like boys, like, cause he technically didn't make New York's team right at training camp. You know what I mean? Right. So like he was down in like the other room because you gotta earn your spot. And so yeah, he was one of my guys that I was constantly, taking care of his gear. I fixed Aiden said something when he was on about the industrial sewing machine. I got to learn how to use an industrial sewing machine by sewing a new kneecap on Matthew Schaffer's shin pad. So like, that's another cool thing in my eyes. Like, didn't even know how to use this thing, and now it's the NHL Rookie of the Year. Everything that he did, and yeah, we became pretty close buddies in my eyes during camp because I got to spend a lot of time with him. So.
Well, now that you've gotten to talk about him here on the show, you're going to have to convince him next year to come on the show. Tell him, listen, I know this podcaster. He does a great job, and he would love to have you on. Normally if they're in the AHL, it was easy for me back then. When they went up to the NHL, it was a little bit more difficult. Only John Cooper from the NHL decided to come on my show, which was very cool. Which is an amazing story. I asked for him when he was still in Syracuse. He gets promoted to Tampa. By the way, he's been in that position for how many years now, right?
A long time, yeah.
And he's won championships. But yeah, 2 months into his time up in Tampa, he calls up Syracuse and says, hey, I want to do that podcast now with that guy in Bingo, right? And they called me up and they said, hey, John Cooper wants to come on the show. I was like, he's in Tampa now. He doesn't, what's he gonna. So literally they said, you call him at this time, don't be late. Just definitely make sure he's a lawyer. And I said, okay. So
I was spot on.
I called him up, and man, within 3 minutes we started recording. And I asked him, he said, thank you for the interview. And I said, no, thank you. I mean, you're up there working with the Lightning, and you had no reason to, get back. He goes, no, I keep my word. I said I was going to do it, and I did it. And I said, well, I appreciate it. 100% appreciated it. So at the time that I asked for it, he was an AHL coach. By the time I actually got to do it, he was an NHL coach. And I have nothing but respect for him for that, which is very cool. It's a great story. It's a neat little story for myself. So
absolutely, he didn't forget about you. That's the cool part.
No, which is true. So please, when you get up there and you're taking care of some of the NHLers, don't forget us little people down here.
I never forget everybody down here. I miss you. Like I texted you, and as soon as I heard you say on last episode, like, I don't know who I'm going to have on. I need a guest, and I was like, I got to talk to Bob.
Well, one of the guys I was going to have on got picked up in the trade, or picked up in the expansion draft. That's the funny part. I was like, well, I could ask him. And then I watched the thing. I was like, no, I'm not going to have him on, at least not yet. I'm going to wait a few weeks before I have either Emerson, Emery, or Emerson, Emery, or CC on. Right. Yeah. So, because it was going to be one of those two, and I'm not going to say which one, because both of them said, yeah, let's do a summertime show. Right. Let's do a summertime interview. And now they're going to be with Mid-South. Now, what's nice is I know Cole. Right. So I can easily say, hey, Cole, I'm going to have blah, blah, blah on. Or I can go to Andreas and say, Cole's not giving me blah, blah, blah. So I'm just going to reach out to blah, blah, blah and get him myself.
Go higher up the food chain.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I have Andreas on speed dial. I mean, it's really simple. So, Cole, if you're listening to this, remember, when I reach out to you for a player, pick up. Dylan, thank you so much.
Thanks, Bob. It was a pleasure talking to you. It's nice to talk about what's going on in life right now. It's
exciting for you.
It's the happiest I've ever been, I think. So it's great.
Well, you're married. Congratulations. You've got a beautiful baby that everybody adores more than you, which is horrible for you, but great for her. And you are living your dream, dude. So don't ever think that you don't have it great. You do. You have it. No matter how hard it is, no matter how hard you have to work, you've got it good, and you've worked hard for it, and you deserve it.
Thank you.
And you're amazing for it.
I'm still working. There's a lot more, there's a little bit left to climb. So we're trying to get there, and piece by piece, we're working on it.
I've told Brant Sherwood, when he's the head coach of the New York Rangers and you're his equipment manager, I definitely want tickets. I better get tickets down there.
You never know how pro hockey works. There could be, you never know. There could be a time,
Well, I got actually, believe it or not, and I love this story. I got a message once from an assistant coach that used to be with the Hershey Bears that then went up to the NHL and spent a lot of time as an assistant coach in the NHL. His name is Bob Woods. He was with Minnesota at one point, and he used to come on the show all the time when he was with the Hershey Bears, and he found the podcast again while I was covering here the Black Bears. And he literally sent me a message saying, "Hey, listen, if you're ever in Minneapolis, let me know. I got tickets for you." And I'm like, dude, that's so freaking awesome. I was like, I'm never going to be in Minneapolis, though. It's like,
that's kind of what I tell everybody, like, if you know that I'm going to be in a city or something, you can always text me, and I could, if I can't leave you tickets, I can't, but I can always try to. I mean, when I went to Wilkes-Barre this year for a game, there were some fans there. This is my last story. This is a good one. I got to tell this one. Yeah.
No, go ahead.
They had a sign that said, like, welcome back home, like 2-time Commissioner's Cup champions, Dylan Konecny, and it had like my mugshot picture on it. And you said one of my favorite guys there, that Beckman. He's just a character. He skated around the glass, and he like saw the sign, and he literally stopped in the middle of warm up, skated right up to the glass, like nose to the glass, and he's looking at the sign, and he's yelling at me across the ice. He's like, "Dill, what is this? What am I seeing here? What is this?" And I was just like, "I don't know, man. I'm loved. I don't know what to tell you."
like the equipment manager's got fans at a hockey game. We came in after warm-ups, and he's like, "Fellas, did you guys see that sign for Dill out there?" NHL prospects don't have signs. Dylan Konecny does.
Yeah, it was a funny little story. So thanks for having me on, Bob. It's been a pleasure.
Awesome. He is Dylan Konecny, and we'll be right back right after this, right here on the Power Play Post Show.
If you're a Binghamton hockey fan, then you need to check out binghamtonhockey.net for all your news, stats, information, the Binghamton Hockey Hall of Fame, top 10 lists, profiles, and so much more. That's binghamtonhockey.net. You're listening to the Power Play Post Show.
And welcome back, everybody, to the Power Play Post Show. Of course, that was Dylan Konecny. He is the assistant equipment manager with the Hamilton Hammers up in the American Hockey League. They'll be playing in the TD Coliseum, an 18,000-seat arena, and I expect they'll get about 4,500 fans a night, but that's just me. I know how Hamilton has been in the past when it has come to American Hockey League action, but maybe the first season they'll do much better. Now, Taylor, I gave you some homework. You got like a B+ on this homework because we had to make some alterations after you submitted it to me, which is okay. But why don't you kind of describe what the homework was?
So, well, I'm surprised I got a B+, to be honest, because the first draft I did, I forgot like 6 teams. So, the FPHL adding teams on a whim I had a hard time keeping up. There's I think 17 of us now, and I totally messed that whole thing up the first time I did it.
You submitted
it
with 16 teams, so I had to grade you on what you submitted to me initially. That's why you got a B+. Otherwise, if you would have submitted that with only 13 teams, then you probably would have failed. Well,
I spent a lot of time trying to get these numbers all put together, and then I tried to make sure they were in order.
I like
essentially
it. And we don't have to read through all the numbers, but why don't you explain to everybody what the homework was and why we're doing this?
So the big debate is that Binghamton is such a well-talented team that you've won 3 cups, you should move to a different league, which the next league up would be the SPHL. but kind of part of that is it's the Southern Hockey League, and we're not Southern. So we kind of took every team in the FPHL, including the California teams, and we broke it down for how long it would take to travel there and how many miles it is to the destination. And then I did the same thing for the SPHL teams, where I broke it down of each team, which there are 12 of them. And I broke down how long it is to travel there and the amount of miles.
What was the thing that struck you the most when doing this and what you were seeing numbers wise?
I mean, realistically, for us to do anything in the SPHL would be, us going to the Indiana Sentinels every game.
Yeah.
And, we had a couple fans that went out to the Sentinels, and it was a tough road trip to do, to drive all the way out there for the weekend and come all the way back. And that's essentially what you'd have to do to face any of the SPHL teams. And that's just on a regular basis where, we have, besides the, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 teams that are less miles and less time than to go to the Indiana Sentinels that we could be facing and not have such a strenuous drive.
Right.
So to me, it was just more of, we do complain about, the time that we travel, or we don't have enough teams in the northern part of, the higher states, not even, New York, Pennsylvania, just states that are close enough to us. But even still, we have enough that are close enough where the drive for a day isn't horrible.
Yeah.
Where with the SPHL teams, you're looking at, at least 8 hours for the closest team. And then after that, you're looking at 12 hours minimum.
Well, you started off by using Indiana as your kind of like your midpoint, right? So tell everyone how far away Indiana is and how much time it would take to get there.
So Indiana is 683 miles. So it would take you roughly 10 hours and 10 minutes. And that's going from the arena in Binghamton to their arena in Indiana.
Okay. Now, there are 2, 4, 6 teams in the FPHL that are closer to Binghamton than the Indiana Sentinels. Okay. That's Watertown, Danbury, Motor City, Blue Ridge, Twin City, Port Huron, depending on which route you go to get to Port Huron. I think the route you probably took was underneath, right? 9 hours is underneath the lakes, right?
Yes, without going through Canada. It is quicker to go through Canada. I think it's like 2 hours less. But I stayed in the States because it just made more. Not everybody's got their passport or they're enhanced.
Exactly. So you have 7 teams from Indiana to Watertown that are within 683 miles. When you look at the SPHL, Taylor, there's only 2 teams really that are under 683 miles. That's the Roanoke Rail Dogs. They're the closest team to Binghamton at 472 miles, but it takes 7 hours and 5 minutes to get to Roanoke because of where you have to travel in our country to get to that part of Virginia. You have to kind of go around D.C., and that adds a little bit more time. So you would think that 472 would be less than 7 hours, but it's not. It's 7 hours and a little bit of change. Then you got the Fayetteville Marksmen, which is 10 hours and 1 minute, and they're 614 miles. So you only have 2 teams under the amount of time that it would take to get to the Indiana Sentinels in the FPHL. And I don't understand how people don't look at this and don't realize that logistically, money-wise, travel expense-wise, it is a stupid idea to put Binghamton in the SPHL.
Yeah, and I know that you're going to kind of talk about this in a couple minutes, but the big conversation was the California teams.
Right.
And obviously, if you were going to travel by car to California, they would obviously take the longest time.
Yeah.
But most likely, and this is coming from, the conversation that you and I had, was that the California teams would pay for the other teams to come out and play them.
Right.
Which would most likely mean that Binghamton would travel to Syracuse, Hancock International, which is an hour and 17 minutes to get up to Syracuse from the arena, which is 82 miles.
Yep.
And then from the closest airport to each of the California teams, you're traveling less than 10 miles to the arena.
Right. But it's a 6-hour flight to get there.
Right, but it's flights usually they don't, unless you're flying to Hawaii, and I've done that. Flights don't take a very long time, in my opinion. You're in the sky, and next thing you know, you're landed.
Yeah, but it's still a 6-hour flight. You're going cross country, basically. So your travel time is still, I mean, you got to get to an airport, check in, go through security, all that kind of stuff. Then you have to get out, get your bags, and get to your destination. You're still looking at a 10-hour day, right? I mean, realistically, it's not on a bus, though. That's a good thing. You're on a plane, which might be good, might be bad in that case. But again, the California teams are going to subsidize, which means that the average cost of your travel to a team that is within your certain radius, certain region, right? Anything above that is what the California teams are going to pay. So there's a subsidy there. And the other catch to all this, you don't all have to go to California. So it still doesn't make any sense, at least in my opinion, and correct me if I'm wrong, right, for Binghamton to go to the SPHL.
It definitely doesn't. And even if the argument was that they'd have to travel to the California teams, you might have to travel out there once. So let's say they tell Binghamton, you've got to go out to California. You're going to hit all three teams. You're not just going to go out there and hit one team and then come back home.
No.
They're going to have you hit all three teams. So that's 3 games at least.
Right, because you could play more.
Probably 2, because exactly. So, maybe they'll keep you out there for a couple days and you play more than just 2 games, whatever. So you're hitting more than one game, where if you were to go to the SPHL, and as you said, the flight will take that into accountability. We'll say it's a 10-hour day. That's still, you only have one team in the SPHL that's less than a 10-hour day, and that's Roanoke.
Right.
So even still traveling on the plane, going through the security, going through all this, and then still going to the arena to go to the California teams would take less time than to go to the second closest team in the SPHL that you're going to have to play more than several times just to get through your however many, I don't remember how many games they play in the SPHL, but you'd have to do that more times than you would possibly have to go out to a California team, where you might do that once. And that's if they have your team go out there, or maybe they bring their team here, or maybe you don't face them at all.
And the other thing that people don't realize, Andreas Johansson is running a business. Yes, this is a hockey team. Yes, this is entertainment for you, the fans. Yes, you pay the ticket price. You buy the merchandise. You drink the really overly expensive beers. Yes, 100%. And he makes a little bit of money from all of that you do. But here's the thing. If the travel expense gets really crazy because you got to go play Peoria, which is 12 hours and 31 minutes away, and it's 845 miles, and your team has to travel on Thursday, and that's a 12-hour, it's probably more than 12 hours. If you think about it, that 12 hours and 31 minutes might turn into 13 hours. 13 and a half hours with some stops, right? And your players are getting off the bus. That's all of Thursday that they can't practice, right? But if you play 10 games against the Danbury Hat Tricks and 5 of them are in Danbury, guess when they leave to go to Danbury? About 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And they travel to Danbury. They get to the arena. They set up, they play. They come home and sleep in their own beds, and they're in their own beds by about 2 o'clock in the morning. So to me, it doesn't make any sense logistically. It doesn't make any sense financially. And so here's my take. The discussion about whether the Binghamton Black Bears should move from the FPHL to the SPHL often centers on the success on the ice. After winning 3 consecutive Commissioner's Cup championships, some fans argue that the Black Bears have outgrown the FPHL and should seek a higher level of competition. However, league membership is not determined solely on wins and losses. Geography, travel expenses, scheduling, flexibility, and long-term financial sustainability all play significant roles. And when those factors are examined, the case for the remaining in the FPHL becomes much stronger. At the first glance, travel numbers between the 2 leagues appear relatively similar. The FPHL's current alignment, including the addition of the Minnesota Northern Lights, places Binghamton approximately about 10,656 miles away from its 13 North American opponents before factoring in the 3 California clubs. The SPHL's 12 teams sit approximately 9,952 miles away in total. However, the raw mileage alone fails to tell the full story. The FPHL still provides Binghamton with nearby regional rivals such as Watertown, 145 miles away, and Danbury, 178 miles away, along with several other opponents with a reasonable day drive. In contrast, every SPHL opponent is at least 472 miles away, with the majority located in between the 700 and 1,000 miles from Binghamton. A move to the SPHL would eliminate nearly all of the Black Bears' closest rivals and replace them with longer road trips and as the norm rather than the exception. The California franchises are often cited as evidence that the FPHL has become too geographically spread out. But there is a more important distinction. Teams are not required to participate in California road trips, and the California organizations have committed to subsidizing travel costs for each team that do choose to make those trips, which we know Port Huron and Motor City have already agreed to. As a result, the most expensive travel in the FPHL is largely optional and partially offset financially. The same cannot be said for the SPHL, where every road trip would be mandatory and would involve significantly greater transportation, lodging, and operational expenses throughout the season. While the Black Bears have unquestionably established themselves as one of the premier organizations in the FPHL, I can't even read what I wrote. The logistical reality is that a move to the SPHL would increase travel demands, remove valuable regional rivalries, and create higher operating costs with little geographic benefit. Success on the ice doesn't always automatically make a move practical off it. And from a travel and business standpoint, the FPHL remains the more logical fit for Binghamton, except if they went to the ECHL. There are 4 or 5 teams that are even closer to Binghamton in the ECHL other than Roanoke would be. So there is that option there as well. But Taylor, I think this is the last time I want to talk about it on the show realistically, but I saw so many fans after, and some of them were Binghamton fans. Realistically, some Binghamton fans were saying this. This wasn't just other FPHL fans. This was some Binghamton fans as well. But it doesn't make any sense business-wise for Andreas Johansson, who has now a team in Mid-South in Memphis, also has a team that he's a part of in Baton Rouge. It doesn't make any sense for him to move his team to the SPHL, and hopefully this can be a conversation we only have once.
Yeah, I think for some of the fans that have, mentioned it, because I know, winning is a great thing. Everybody loves to win, but I do know at a certain point, and I heard it from a couple fans that, they kind of stopped being so interested in the games when, we go to Watertown and we win 10-1. Mm-hmm. And you do that so many times that, at some point that doesn't necessarily become exciting. Like, yeah, to have a game like that is awesome. But when it kind of becomes the norm when you're facing a certain team, it isn't like you and I were at a point where we're like, oh, we have to, say Ivan Bondarenko's name 400 times because he had that many points this weekend and we get to talk about him a whole bunch. We kind of got into a routine where it was like we were saying the same thing over and over and over again. So I think for some people it was just kind of like, maybe the amount of talent that Binghamton had to offer for this season was, too high for some of the competition that we had. And I don't necessarily disagree with all of that, but I do think it doesn't make any logical sense to go to the SPHL. I mean, for the simple fact that it's literally the southern, portion of it, but
Southern Professional Hockey League. I mean, they don't use that moniker anymore. It is literally just SPHL, but geographically they are mostly just the Southern Professional Hockey League.
And so none of that makes any sense. I mean, unless we were you could face Roanoke the entire season, but then who wants to do that?
Nobody.
And so again, it makes no, as you said, logistical sense to do anything of that nature. And I truly believe that with the amount of teams that we have this season, the dispersal draft, the expansion draft, There's a bunch of player movement that is happening. I think we're going to see even more player movement because you and I believe that we could see a few guys possibly retiring, which I know I'm pretty sure we say this every year.
What?
We all thought Don would, and we all thought Yates would, and, Kyle Steffen did, and then he came back, and, Connor Smith did, and he came back. So who knows what could happen in the next several months. You and I kind of think, we could see a couple people retire. I think other fans kind of think they could see that as well, but who actually knows what's going to happen? So I think as far as, the amount of player movement that's happening this offseason for every single team, the ownership groups and the management that's happening, Watertown's changing things up. Danbury, I think, could get on the right track. Everett Thompson's going to have a first full season with Indiana. So it could be completely different. And I truly hope that the competition level is more even and spread out this year. And we might not see as many wins as we did the last couple seasons, even if Brant is here and we still have the high caliber players that we do.
Yeah. And I think,
but that,
go ahead, Taylor. Finish up.
I was just going to say that I don't think if we have less wins, I don't think it's necessarily going to be a reflection against us in a bad way. I think it's more going to be a reflection of the league itself has expanded so much and brought in, the talent is spread out so much that it's just the competition is so much better.
Yeah.
I don't think you're going to see, we might be at the top, but we might not blow everybody else out of the water. I think we're going to see some really close-knit, tight battles this year throughout the entire league.
And I think the other thing will come down to the schedule. If we don't face Danbury and Watertown 33 of our 56 games, 17 against Danbury, 16 against Watertown, or it was vice versa, I think. If we don't see those 33 games, if we reduce those games down against those two teams and we play against other teams in the league a little bit more, I think the competition that Binghamton will see will be better. And that will actually help the perception that Binghamton is so far ahead. Yes, we can be so far ahead of Watertown. They have a budget of $4,000 for salary in a league that has a $5,900 salary cap, right? If you're only spending $4,000 and we're spending $5,900, of course, the talent that we have on the team is going to be a little bit better. But the coaching was better and all that other stuff as well. Same thing in Danbury. They weren't spending as much as Binghamton was, but they weren't spending the salary cap either. So maybe they were. Maybe they were a little bit over it. I don't know. My point is, though, is we play against those teams a little bit less and we play against teams in the league like PD. I kind of wish we would have played PD 4 or 5 or maybe 6 times this past year. I think it would have been beneficial for Binghamton to see how they stack up against teams that were playing well, that were built well, because it would have made them a better team overall in the end. Now, of course, they won the championship, so what the hell am I talking about? I'm talking out of my ass at this point. But you know what I'm saying, right? Play a little bit less against these two closer teams, even though it's great for us geographically and logistically and travel expense-wise. But we can still, we didn't even play Blue Ridge, and we should have played them at least 6 times, in my opinion.
Yeah, that was one of the things that you were very heavy on, was needing to play Blue Ridge. And
yes.
I don't disagree, and I would have been very interested to see how it all played out, especially since, the last time we were there didn't pan over so well. But if we're going to play Blue Ridge again, I need the first time we face them. If we're going to face them more than once, the first time we face them has to be in Binghamton.
I agree.
Just 'cause I need that to happen. I need to know if everything is settled over, if everything's calm, if everybody's forgot about it, or is the tension still there?
Oh, we're going to build that tension up. Screw that. We're going to talk about that for 2 weeks before it happens. If they come up here and play in Binghamton, you bet your ass we're going to talk about it. We're going to relive what happened 2 years ago, and we're going to talk about it. That is 100%, Taylor. We're going to build that up because nobody should. Go ahead.
I don't know if we're going to be able to build it up as much as we want to, though, because one of the big points of that was, somebody went after Tyson, and Connor McAnanama went after the person who went after Tyson.
And we
don't have either of those guys.
Yeah, those guys won't be here. That's a very good point. We might be building up for something where some of the new guys would be like, "Hey, Bob, Taylor, shut the frig up. You guys are going to get us killed out here." So that's a very good point. But either way, we still need to play against Blue Ridge. I mean, they are literally just 8 hours away from us, and they should be coming up here. We should be going down there. If we went to the SPHL and Roanoke is 7 hours away and Blue Ridge is 8 hours away, and we didn't play against Blue Ridge at all, that makes absolutely no sense to me at all. All right, Taylor, that was good. I think we hit everything we wanted to hit. Did we?
I think so, and I don't think we ever have to have the conversation about Binghamton and the SPHL ever again.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I didn't want to do that again, but it was great. The homework is done. I have saved that file so we know the mileage to all of our teams, too. I think that's kind of nice little research that doesn't have to be done in the future, which is pretty cool. All right. So good job on that. Great job on that. Well, I mean, you got to B+.
My B+?
Yeah, you got to B+. We had to add in...
Listen, on my paperwork, I did have it on there. I just apparently forgot to type it.
That's funny. All right. The Power Play Post Show is available on all... Well, you know what, Taylor? No, we didn't talk about one thing. What did you think of the expansion draft live on YouTube?
Boy, it truly went better than I thought it was going to, being that it was the first time trying something like this and having it set up and making sure everything went as smoothly as it did. I thought it went very well. Mm-hmm. The only little gripe that I had was the issue with the microphones where they, if he moved at all, it kind of like, the scuffle sound, it cut out, whatever. But that was it was a very minor detail of what, it could have gone horribly wrong. It could have been a disaster. It could have, a lot of things could have gone wrong in that situation, but I think it went really well. And I think it was very well done as well. I thought, it was put together well. I thought it was handled well. And I kind of liked how they, at the end, when they brought all the, each new team had somebody come on and kind of talk. I thought that was very interesting. It was nice to see Mac Jansen up there and, talk about his picks. But I really liked it. And I kind of hope they do more stuff like that throughout, the off season and into the season.
No, 100%. I thought it was very well done, very professionally done. Will and Braden did a great job. I think there was a team of people behind them trying to get all the information to them, setting up all the video, getting that going. I thought they did a very good job, and it was just really well done. And if that's what we're going to get from the FPHL and all the communication, if you go to the FPHL website right now, Taylor, there's like news and information on there from the last 10 days, like multiple times. And there were times during the summer, even early this year after the Black Bears won the championship, nothing was posted except for award winners. And now they're actually posting things that give you transparency and information. And I think that's a very good thing. I think it'll help their reputation a lot if they're a lot more transparent this upcoming season than they have been in the past.
Yeah, I think they're definitely moving in the forward direction when it comes to communication. And I think, it couldn't have gotten much worse, let's be honest. But I definitely think they're taking the right steps. And I think they're trying to handle things better. And I think it's already kind of proving that.
All right. The Power Play Post is available on all major podcast platforms, including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Cast, YouTube, Amazon Music, and iHeartRadio. Just search Power Play Post Show on your favorite app. And don't forget to subscribe. Join the conversation on Facebook. Search for Power Play Post Show and become a part of our community. And looking for everything Binghamton Hockey, visit binghamtonhockey.net or just find Taylor's notebook. Some of the information will be there, if not all of it. We're not really sure. It's okay. We love her anyways.
It's a very messy notebook. You probably don't want to even attempt to read it.
I've actually seen Gary's, because Gary writes in a notebook as well, doing all of his notes and everything for his videos. And his is organized, but I can't read half of his writing, but he can read it. So I guess that's the important part. So I don't know how your handwriting is, if it's good or bad or not, but
my handwriting is okay. It's just, it's not organized at all. Like I make sketches and then I will rip that page out and redo it so everything's nice, neat, and organized. And then I take that information and then I put it in the computer and then I have it all typed up and then that's all nice, really neat. And then I send it to you.
Wow. So multiple drafts here. I like it.
Yes.
I like it.
Yeah. I have, OCD and all sorts. Yeah. I like things to be very neat and done in a certain way. That's why I write it down first. It helps me.
I understand that. All right. Thank you to Rob Lopolis, our MC, John Petitucci, our musical director, and from the Hamilton Hammers, he is Dylan Konecny. their assistant equipment manager. And well, he's our equipment manager here on the Power Play Post Show. That's how I look at it. Well, I am Bob Howard. She is
Taylor Welch.
And we'll talk to you guys in a couple weeks right here on the Power Play Post Show.
Thanks for listening to this edition of the Power Play Post Show. Be sure to tune in next week to the Box Studios Radio Network for all the latest Black Bears news and interviews from around minor league hockey. The Power Play Post Show would like to thank John Patitucci for all the music you hear on the show. You've been listening to the Power Play Post Show.